All right, so again, we're diving into this chapter of 2 Samuel, and it's a wild ride.
Oh, yeah.
This king, David, he just finished putting down one rebellion.
Right.
And another one just pops up.
Yeah, it's like, it really highlights how fragile peace is.
I was going to say, does this guy get a break? So his son Absalom, that rebellion just ended. David is back in Jerusalem, and boom, this guy named Sheba. He decides it's his turn to take a shot at the throne.
Yeah, he doesn't even hesitate. He goes right up to the Israelites.
Yeah.
And he's like, you have no business following David. Every man to his tents.
Yeah.
Just playing on all the tensions that are already there.
Oh, yeah. He's like a masterclass in exploiting a volatile situation.
Totally.
You practically see him like fanning the flames.
For sure.
And it works. A lot of the Israelites, they ditch David. They follow Sheba. What a headache for a leader.
Oh, yeah. A total nightmare. But this is where things get really interesting. David doesn't panic. He takes action. He appoints Amasa to gather an army and put down this rebellion, like right away.
Decisive leadership, 101, you'd think. After being betrayed by his own son, David might be a little hesitant to trust someone else with an army.
You would think that, but he knows. He needs to act fast to keep things from getting out of control.
Right.
If he hesitates, it's only going to get worse.
There's a twist. Amasa is delayed. And so, David, he decides to send Joab, who is his top general, to take charge. Now, Joab, this guy is a fascinating character.
Oh, yeah.
He's got this reputation for being incredibly effective, but also ruthlessly ambitious.
Right. Like, if this was a movie, this is where the audience leans forward because, things are about to get complicated, like the music changes, adding a layer of suspense.
All right, so picture this. Joab and his men are on the road. They're hot on Sheba's trail. When they run into Amasa, the guy that David originally put in charge, Joab greets him all friendly-like, gives him a hug even.
Oh, no. And then he stabs him.
Right in the gut.
Right in the gut with a hidden sword. Amasa dies right there on the highway.
Yeah. This part, it's a stark reminder that ambition and rivalry can have deadly consequences.
Especially when power is on the line.
Yeah.
It also makes you think about accountability. Joab murdered someone who was appointed by the king, and he just gets away with it.
So he gets away with murder.
Well, at least for now, it really shows you those complex power dynamics. Even back then, justice wasn't always equal.
Okay. So, Joab, having very conveniently eliminated his competition, he continues to pursue Sheba, who has holed himself up in this city called Abel.
Right.
Joab lays siege to the city, ready to unleash his entire army. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn.
A wise woman comes forward from inside the city.
Sure.
She sees the destruction that's about to happen, and she decides she's got to do something.
Wow, I love that. This seemingly ordinary woman steps up to challenge this powerful military leader. It's like David and Goliath.
It really is.
But with words.
Exactly.
Instead of slingshots.
And she doesn't back down at all. She calls out to Joab, reminds him about Abel's reputation as a city of peace and wisdom. They were wont to speak in old time, saying, "They shall surely ask counsel at Abel." And so they ended the matter, she tells him. Appealing to tradition, shared history, trying to de-escalate the situation.
It's like she's saying, hey, we're known for being reasonable people here. Let's talk this out.
Right.
Before you destroy everything.
Right.
And it works.
It does. Joab listens. He assures her that he doesn't want to destroy the city. His target is Sheba.
This is where the woman's wisdom, it really shines. She sees a chance to end the conflict without any more bloodshed. Classic diplomacy winning the day.
It really is.
She says to Joab, "Behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall."
Wow.
It's a chilling image.
Yeah.
But also shows how practical she is.
Right.
And her willingness to make a hard choice to save her city. And she gets her people to go along with it. They cut off Sheba's head and toss it over the wall to Joab.
Yeah.
Just like the rebellion is over. Brutal end. But it also shows the tough choices leaders have to make.
It raises all sorts of questions about justice, responsibility, what's right and wrong.
So we've got a dead rebel leader, a city that didn't get destroyed, and a wise woman who outsmarted a general. What happens next? We'll find out in part 2 of this deep dive. So we left off with Sheba's head, literally rolling at Joab's feet.
Right.
Talk about a dramatic end to a rebellion. But what happens to Joab after this?
Well, he calls off the siege, packs up his army, and goes back to Jerusalem.
Okay, but he murdered someone.
Right.
Especially someone who was appointed by the king. You'd think there would be some consequences.
You'd think so. But it seemed like the whole thing gets swept under the rug.
He just gets away with it.
Well, The chapter ends with this list of David's officials, and Joab's still there.
Oh, so he's still in charge.
He's still one of David's top guys.
So David just didn't care.
I don't think that's it. I think David needed Joab.
Hmm.
Maybe even feared him a little.
Ah, so maybe he was turning a blind eye.
Yeah, maybe he felt like
Something.
he couldn't afford to punish him, even for something as bad as murder.
Wow. That's rough. It makes you think about the trade-off that leaders have to make.
It does.
Is it ever okay to overlook injustice to keep the peace?
That's a tough question. One
Yeah.
that I'm sure leaders have been struggling with for centuries.
Yeah, it's not just ancient history either. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
In modern politics,
Yeah.
in business, even in our own lives.
Absolutely. Do we hold people accountable even when it
Yeah.
would hurt us?
Yeah, it's a tough moral dilemma. This whole thing with Joab, it
Yeah.
also makes you think about power.
Yeah.
He was obviously a skilled leader,
Yeah.
but he was also ruthless.
Power can corrupt,
It can.
even with the best intentions.
Then you have the wise woman.
Right.
She also had power, but she used it to protect people, and negotiate, to find a peaceful solution.
Two very different ways to lead.
It's like the chapter is giving us two different models of leadership. The warrior, like Joab,
Yeah.
and the diplomat, like the wise woman.
Hmm.
And it's asking us, which one is better?
Which one is more effective? Which one is more ethical?
And in the long run, which one is going to last?
It's a question for all of us.
So we've seen the dark side of ambition with Joab, and we've seen the power of diplomacy with the wise woman. What's the overall takeaway? From this chapter, we'll explore that in the final part of this deep dive.
Okay.
So we've seen rebellion, we've seen betrayal, we've even seen a little bit of gruesome problem solving.
Yeah, a little bit.
But what does it all mean?
Right. Is there like a bigger lesson here?
What can we take away from all this?
I think this chapter, it's really about leadership and conflict resolution.
Okay.
We see the dangers of unchecked ambition in Joab. He doesn't let anything get in his way.
Right, even his own comrade.
Yeah.
But then you have the wise woman.
Right.
Totally different approach.
She's all about dialogue, negotiations.
Instead of violence and force. It
Wait.
really makes you think.
Like, which path do you choose?
Right.
The path of aggression, like Joab, or the path of wisdom, like the woman?
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because neither one of them is all good or all bad.
That's true.
I mean, Joab was a skilled leader, but his ambition, it led him to do something terrible.
And the woman, she shows incredible courage.
But her solution, it involves a sacrifice.
Yeah. It's not black and white. It's complicated.
It is. There are no easy answers.
So how do we apply this to our own lives?
Well, I think one of the biggest lessons is communication.
Okay.
The woman shows us how powerful it can be.
Even when there's conflict.
Yeah, she's not afraid to talk to Joab, to remind him of their shared values,
Right.
to appeal to his reason.
It's like she's saying, we don't always have to fight.
Right.
Sometimes words are enough.
It takes courage.
But it's powerful.
It is. And it's not just about talking. It's about listening.
Really listening.
To understand where the other person is coming from.
Even if you disagree,
Exactly.
that's where real dialogue starts.
So it's like, this chapter is giving us a guide for how to handle conflict.
A blueprint.
Yeah. Communicate. Find common ground. Think about the long-term consequences.
It reminds us that there are different ways to lead. It's not always about being the loudest or the most powerful. Sometimes the best leaders are the ones who can inspire, persuade.
Through wisdom and compassion.
Yeah,
And a desire for peace.
exactly.
We all face challenges
We do.
in our families, our jobs, our communities.
It's part of life.
But this story,
Yeah.
it gives us hope that there's a better way. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom, keep asking questions, and keep working towards a more peaceful world.